it's crazy to think about a week ago, we had no idea where this was all heading. Marcus Satterfield then gets on that plane.
Oh, yeah.
Even last Monday, Kyle McCord didn't go in the portal till Monday.
Right, he did.
And then they were in Columbus, Ohio by Tuesday at 5 p.m. That plane landed in Columbus.
God, good job, Sean.
And they met with Kyle McCord. And I felt by Friday of last week, you felt like he was the guy they were zoning in on based on the other tea leaves and things that were kind of falling around. Blake Shapen goes to Mississippi State. That's out of the way. You got Cam Ward, who's at Miami right now, and always felt kind of like a long shot.
It's not done.
Not done, but he's not no scheduled visits to Nebraska.
No,
obviously.
Right.
So then Sam Leavitt wanted to hear back from Nebraska. They visited the Michigan State quarterback. Well, he commits to Arizona State.
Yeah, and didn't you think when Leavitt committed, or even when Leavitt said, he told me last Thursday, that Nebraska hadn't been in contact with him. That's when I started thinking, okay, they must have somebody, McCord, because
you want your key number one guy here first.
Yeah.
Because then you kind of react from there.
Mm-hmm. Right.
And guys, you don't get that long to bring these visitors in.
No.
I mean,
they have till Saturday in this case.
Dead period. And then January 3rd would be the next time you could have a visitor.
January 3rd through January 7th.
And in transfer portal time, that's years. I mean, we're talking a couple of weeks.
Mm-hmm. It's a long time.
I mean, the whole world in the transfer portal could blow up by January 3rd. Yes. So this is the week they got to get it done. Kyle McCord gets to campus Monday. Okay.
And he got here. Yeah,
and you're thinking, all right, on his visit, things are looking really good. And they still look very good. By Monday afternoon, Chad Simmons from On3 confirms that Dylan Raiola, the Georgia quarterback recruit and commit since May, is essentially still considering Nebraska. And Hayes Fawcett from On3, both from our great national support team, breaks the news that Dylan Raiola will take an official visit to Nebraska on Saturday or Friday of this week. So much to go through there, because now it's like, wow, could they get 2 5-star quarterbacks? Could they get both these guys? And it feels like it's very possible.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's trending that way. And there's precedent for this happening. Look at what happened at Texas when they brought in Quinn Ewers and Arch Manning in the same class.
Yep.
And
and
we're able to basically make it work through full season with having 2 elite level quarterbacks. So this is something that has been done and has proven to be done effective when managed correctly. So as long as the interests between all 3 parties involved, Raiola, McCord, and Nebraska, align, and everybody's on the same page, you're not going to have any egos bruised or upset or anything like that. This is something that could very realistically work in Nebraska.
Now, Steve Sipple, it's been very quiet in the Raiola camp. I mean, I know you've got a long-standing relationship with Dominic. Obviously, I've known him for years, but we still haven't heard anything direct from their camp. What's your read on that?
Oh, well, my read is that Raiola will be a Nebraska Cornhusker. I would say my read on it is 90%, and that's probably conservative. I think you always leave a little wiggle room in that situation because of just the way recruiting is. But yeah, that's my read. My read is it's virtually done.
Because if he was sticking with Georgia, they would get out in front of this thing
absolutely
as quickly as they possibly could.
Right.
They would shoot it all down, etc. But clearly something happened with Dylan Raiola in Georgia about a week ago.
We think so, yeah.
That changed things during their in-home visit or some sort of conversations with the Georgia coaching staff. And you can speculate it regarding NIL or whatever, playing time. There's a lot of ways this could go. But whatever happened changed that dynamic. And then Donovan Raiola, the uncle of Dylan Raiola, the brother of Dominic Raiola, also gets a new contract, $175,000. He got his own NIL deal. Right. He got $175,000 raise on his
commission on it.
Easy. No, I mean, yeah. Now here's the thing. The only thing I'd say about Donovan is I think it almost gets overlooked sometimes. If things are not going perfectly with Dylan and Georgia, who would be the first to know? He's sitting right in Nebraska's office. I mean, it's a pretty good advantage. Now, he got his raise based on how the offensive line played. And
he's making $325. He'll make $500,000.
Yeah, he got bumped good. And that's, what, offensive line coaches should be making about a minimum of $500,000 at a place like Nebraska. But yeah, I mean, I think it helps this situation. It was kind of presented as Nebraska's making a late push to flip Raiola. I think it kind of worked out organically, almost like you say, Sean. It feels like it's more like something happened and Nebraska jumped in and said, "Okay, well, here's a spot for you."
Go back to the narrative from Georgia. The fact that not only are they not dismissing it, like it's almost begin a push to where he's running from competition. He's not that good anyway. And usually when stuff like that happens, that means there's actually a real breakup that happened to where someone is salty and they're putting out a narrative that, well, we didn't want this guy anyway.
Right.
That's usually what happens in those situations.
Georgia was, I mean, from what I could gather, they're pretty stunned, though. I mean, I talked to Rusty Manziel, who is as plugged in with Georgia as anybody. I called them yesterday morning. This would have been Tuesday morning. I'm losing track of my days here. Or Monday morning.
Today
is Tuesday right now.
Yeah, he called him yesterday.
And he had not heard anything on this.
Oh boy!
Like it was, and he was heading to broadcast the Georgia State Championship football games in Mercedes-Benz Stadium. He's a part of the broadcast there for those games, and obviously there were a lot of Georgia coaches there and other people. So he spoke with more people. Chad Simmons, our own On3 writer, was at those games too. So we had two boots on the ground at
On3 did, yeah.
At the Mercedes-Benz Stadium where other coaches were present, including members of the Georgia coaching staff. So from there, the ball just took off at that point. But, it's this visit weekend. Like, what is the timeline? Will he announce his commitment on the visit, before the visit?
Right.
I can't imagine he wants us to be overly dramatic. It would be his third announcement.
Yeah. I don't know, Sean. They seem to like it. But maybe not. I don't know. Just an announcement.
We're ready. Hayes Fawcett edit.
Yeah, and we're ready. I mean, the story's written. I mean, that's the way I look at it. This is not going to take anybody by surprise at this point.
The surprise already happened.
Yeah.
And our page views and numbers yesterday sure reflect that.
Here's the deal. I mean, I told you, I heard Sunday night, I got a text from somebody close to Dominic that said, be ready for this. So Sunday night is when I called you the next morning. I didn't know what to make of it. I was kind of on the McCord. I had McCord a lot on my mind. And then this was like, okay, it looks like this is something we have to deal with. Then it quickly became apparent Monday morning, this is something we have to deal with. It's huge news. Almost seemed like fiction. Like it almost seems like a fiction novel. McCord comes into Lincoln for a visit, but this 5-star quarterback is decommitting from Georgia on the same day, and everybody's saying he's going to go to Nebraska.
It'd be a hell of a movie.
Yeah, it's amazing. I mean, I can't imagine what the McCord family's thinking, and it was probably a little disruptive. But I don't. Now, what you wonder is, can you get them both? That's the key. Can you get them both?
That's the big unknown.
Yeah.
Again, transfers, especially of that profile, they don't need a 5-star number 1 quarterback looking over their shoulder on every rep. Like they want some stability if they're going to move from a place like Ohio State. You want some insurances there.
Some guys would handle it better than others, though. Some guys
what we don't know about McCord.
Yeah,
maybe he's not. Yeah, maybe he's not afraid.
Right? Maybe
like would McCord say, "All right, I'm just going to go to Syracuse, Rutgers, somewhere like that now instead."
I don't know.
Or is Raiola okay with only playing 4 games,
right,
and taking the keys of the car in 25?
Don't know. These are things we don't know. We don't. Oh, the other thing you said, we don't know that, Rob, and we also don't know if McCord has another visit lined up. We know he's in Lincoln. We don't know if he's going anywhere else. So that's a huge unknown to me.
Like, did somebody, as this all played out, try to make a run at McCord and say, don't do anything at Nebraska? Like, let this thing play out, maybe take another trip. That's the other X factor that could really change this if another team jumps in on the news of the Raiola.
How much money do they have? That's another X factor. How much money do they have? Because Nebraska can make his trip worthwhile.
Well, I will say, any questions about NIL at Nebraska, I think this week has answered a lot of them, like where Nebraska is. You've got to have players that are worth NIL, like for a collective to flex muscles. You can't just overpay guys that aren't valued at what they're at. But if they could get 2 5-star quarterbacks, McCord and Raiola, in a single week, along with possibly Julian Fleming, a 5-star receiver from Ohio State. He was going to be a 3 or a 4 receiver at Ohio State. He'd be a number 1 in Nebraska. That would be quite a week in a statement for Nebraska's NIL collective 1890.